10 seconds.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the View from the Dead Box. We are 1 week off of a bye week for us, a non-practice. Relax at the house and play Tarkov all day. Practice-ish thingy. We're doing nothing. What is up, Michael?
It was weird not being on the field, man. I mean, I've had a busy week, but I was still there. Like, I had 2 weekends where I showed up and didn't play, but I was still there. So it was like, oh, I didn't go to the paintball fields.
We haven't missed a week in a while, actually.
Yeah. What'd you end up doing? I didn't talk to you much this weekend.
Did absolutely nothing.
Hey, that works.
I literally just hung at the house and played a bunch of Tarkov.
And that's an oddity for you, just staying at the house even when you have paintball.
Yeah.
I think I'm a busy person, and you are about as busy as I am.
Yeah. We planned on going riding Saturday, Sunday, and then I ended up being lazy and not doing that. So I don't get many like full-on lazy weekends.
Oh yeah.
Days. If she wanted to go do something, we ended up just not doing anything at all.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man.
So I think we'll try to do something this weekend. Obviously, we got practice Sunday with KMA.
Yeah. Be our last practice before CPSL.
CPSL, yeah.
So that'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that off weekend was needed by some.
That's what I said, yeah.
I mean, we haven't really missed a full weekend probably since like the second week of January. So we're now literally the middle of March. So everyone definitely earned that one. I had a busy ass weekend. I had a wedding Friday. We finished up the wedding stuff at like 11 o'clock on Friday. And then
I felt like you had a wedding every weekend for the last 2 months.
I basically have. And this one was the last wedding that I know of for the foreseeable future. And then like everyone decided afterwards they wanted to go downtown. Yeah. But everyone also forgot it was St. Patrick's Day weekend in Savannah. And there was no COVID there, I can tell you that, because every bar we went to, it was like, any bar, any club we went to, it was just like people packed, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, if I don't catch it now, then these fucking roots are strong, and this one I never will. Yeah. So, and then it was Orlando Saturday for a birthday party, and then we came back on Sunday. So I got back yesterday at like 4 o'clock, and I was like, I'm fucking exhausted. Like, yeah. But let's get into some paintball. Paintball. So this is one I get a lot because we both have loads of friends and people outside of paintball. What do they think when they hear like this is kind of a good we can talk about since we had an off weekend, like your travel schedule and like our travel schedule and practice schedule, and you know what I'm saying? Like, what do they think of it? Most of my friends think I'm like fucking crazy. Like, you go every weekend to play paintball and then like you travel minimum 1 week in a month, sometimes more.
Yeah.
I mean, what do your people say? Like, whether it's other, I mean, because you do the racing, or used to, and then you talk about riding in the beginning. So you have all this, and shooting, we know, we talk about that all the time. We both have loads of other hobbies, but like, paintball is probably our number one.
Yeah, it kind of comes down to people always think I'm like don't think it's that serious. They're like, you travel to play, like can't you just go play at the field you're playing at? I'm like, well, yeah, but we go other places to play.
Yeah.
You know, we go here, we go there. Then we have tournaments. You know, we typically do a lot more than just, you know, playing in the backyard. Because I think I said it before. Whenever somebody hears like playing paintball, they always assume that like we're going to like go out and hide behind some trees and like shoot.
Yeah.
You can just do that in the woods over here at my grandpappy's house. Like that's what everybody always thinks that's how it is. And I'm like, no, we have like practice. We have a scheduled practice. We have a scrimmage, teams coming in. You know, we have things going on that we have to do. And it's always like like really? Like they never really think it's that serious, you know? I'm like, yep, this old shit.
Yeah, and especially since we've done it. So, like some of my friends that I've known for 10 years that don't play, I got paintball, they go, okay. Like they know, obviously he's busy as fuck. He ain't doing shit after he's done with paintball practice because he's like, I mean, we get to the field.
Go ahead, Mark. Yeah, go ahead and mark Sunday out.
Yep, Sunday's out. Sunday's never a day. And then it's like sometimes Saturdays aren't a day because Sunday isn't going to be a day. So it's like I need a day to do my
Yep.
other bullshit, other errands and whatnot. But I don't know. It was something I was thinking about on the way back because I was talking to like just so many different people over this past week, and they like, "What's your favorite thing to do?" And I like to go places and shoot faces with my friends. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we do, and we've done it for so long. And then I explain it, and they're like, "Same thing. You have to practice for that. Can't you just go?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No." And then I show them a video, and they're like, "Other people do that," and I'm like, "Yeah, we go to tournaments with 30 teams minimum most of the time."
Yeah.
And then like our big tournaments will have 55 plus, and they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah, it's a giant money pit." So I don't recommend unless
Huge
you
money pit.
just want to like waste money. But I don't know. That was just some little thing I had thought about.
Yeah. I never think people take it or think of it as serious as we do, or take it as serious as we do.
Yeah,
But it really is. It's almost a job.
it is almost a job, and especially with how we. I mean, like we say competitive. We're Division 4, but the Division 4 here is high level Division 4, where it takes a significant amount of our time and everybody's time. I don't know. I had someone too over this weekend. They're like, I told them to play paintball. They're like, people still do that? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah. He was like, oh, he goes, I remember same thing. I remember doing that in the woods. I'm like, yeah, that's not what this is. I've never had that response of, oh, people still do that. Like normal people go, oh,
Yeah.
that's cool, or oh, I've done that before,
Yeah.
or they have no idea. But even having no idea is pretty rare. Most people have,
See it on TV or something.
yeah, at minimum heard of it. Heard someone say I'm going to play paintball for a birthday party,
Yeah.
or I'm going to my friend's house. We're gonna go shoot each other in the woods with ski goggles on and motorcycle helmets and shit like that. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yikes. have fun with that. Hope you don't die.
Yeah. Twice.
That's funny. So I feel like I was reading up on PB Nation, and I'm sure everyone has heard us bitch about paint since the beginning of this year. That's been a pretty common theme, I would say, on the
And not with
podcast.
just one manufacturer. It's been a little bit across the board.
Yeah, that 1000%. So this is kind of my question. Do you think this doesn't go out to any specific field owner? I'm just going to say in general because it's happened at multiple fields. And I at first I was always blaming these manufacturers, but I'm not anymore. But so do you think field owners or fields in general need to pay more attention to their paint?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think the paint nowadays is a lot more temperature temperamental.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making paint like on the edge because a lot of guys are complaining about bouncing. So they're trying to make this paint as fragile as they can. The problem is if they're getting it in fragile and it just so happens to dip down in cold weather, the paint doesn't act right.
Yep.
So it's almost like when you get to these winter months, and even when it's still chilly outside, it's kind of like you still probably need to have some sort of like tougher paint and just get by with the bounces and until you're guaranteed 75 plus degree weather every
Yeah.
70 plus degree weather every weekend. And I also think paint storage is very overlooked at a lot of places. I've been to fields before that they just keep it in the back of a trailer. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like on a roller, like a little enclosed trailer.
Yeah.
I've seen people store paint in there before. And I'm like, well, it obviously doesn't have AC or heat. So if it gets cold or if it gets hot, that paint is either smoking or it's freezing.
Yeah.
One of the two, and that destroys paint absolutely. Or I've seen fields when we were in Texas. Fields used to order like 3 and 4 pallets, right? And they wouldn't shoot that much. So when you're getting towards the last pallet or two, like the paint's getting like crazy sneeze fragile. You can like drop
Yeah.
them in the and they're all breaking. We even had some of that here at Hoppers, like some of the ProShar.
Oh yeah, it was
Like
crazy.
grabbed a handful of it and dropped it from like the waist, and all of it broke.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this? And they used that same paint down the tryouts for ML Kings, and everybody had nothing but paint problems. I'm like, how is the thing? Like,
Yeah.
I figured the manufacturer would test it when they left. They'd be like, oh, this is way too fragile. Can't ship this shit. This is trash. Not just like, oh well, ship it to them. They'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. You know.
And you talk about the fragile. I remember like 10 years ago, I would never have, and I guess maybe because I got paint from your dad, who was lucky enough, he never had a large amount of paint, so he was always able to keep it in the house. So I never really had a problem unless he got a bad batch. But like now, I feel like everyone has so much paint, so I go somewhere it's not climate controlled. But fuck, I was going somewhere else with that. I don't know. But anyway, so it's not climate controlled. I
Well, I
think
think
that's the big
also
issue.
Dad was also a player,
Well, that too. Yeah, that helps out a lot.
so players typically that end up owning fields in the long run, like I never really had a problem out of Zach's field
Yeah, me
in
neither.
Jacksonville, and I think it's because he's been a player. He's been playing as long as I have, so I think it's because he typically knows his way around the paint and everything else, right? To where sometimes some of these guys who maybe never played before, the paint manufacturers can like pull one over on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they're
no, for
selling them
sure.
old paint, right? They're like, yeah, we got you covered, and they're sending them like old shit, because when you go to these tournaments, right, and they get all the 5-star comes in, all that 5-star is not the same. There
Oh
is
yeah.
different 5-star in there. There are like 3 different
Uh-huh.
styles of 5-star in that crate, and you just don't know what you have. So it depends on who you know. Like when I played uh, for VM, we played for D3. We always shot fresh paint. So every single match, whatever we have left, we just threw it in the tent and grabbed new cases right out of the trailer. We never ever
Yeah.
shot old paint. And I'm a stickler for shooting fresh paint every single match. And I do that to us every time. But we were pulling certain paint off of pallets in the back that were marked completely different, which tells you right there the paint is different.
Oh, for
Five
sure.
star, we aren't shooting 5-star, we're shooting HK, but the paint isn't all the same.
Yeah.
There are different level 6 HKs inside that fucking booth.
Well, yeah, you don't
Um,
know which batch out of that is the freshest either. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean,
So,
it had to get there somehow, and they can't make all that paint in one day and get everybody who needs fresh paint fresh paint. Somebody's getting old paint.
oh, I agree. I
So, and
100%
there's no, that's just the name. You know what I mean? There's really nothing even the manufacturers can do. Definitely nothing the field owners can do about that side. But at the beginning, like I said, we've been bitching about this paint thing for a while. And at first, I thought maybe it was a manufacturer issue. But
yeah.
at this point, I don't. Because I've seen it happen with multiple manufacturers and even
Well,
at multiple
I'm not.
fields.
I'm not gonna say it's not. I think the whole like COVID thing doesn't have fields selling as much paint as possible.
Hmm.
So I think they're having a lot more paint being stored at these warehouses, and I think it's growing old on shelf. Um,
Okay, I mean, that would be fine. I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking it was growing old
yeah.
on field owner
So
shelves.
yeah, that too, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean, well, it's a snowball effect, right?
yeah,
So field owners typically, and I have proof of this, like speaking to manufacturers, they say that they can keep paint on themselves for 6 to 8 months,
yeah.
like fresh paint. Well, by the time it's fresh off the roller, they can keep it for 6 to 8 months before it goes bad in proper storage and rotating.
Yep.
They can do that. Now, with let's say they kept it for 5 months and they sold it to a field who kept it for another month, you're at 6 months. You're already at the possible like, and the
Yeah.
longer paint sits, the more fragile it gets, right?
Yep.
And then obviously the oil settles in the ball, and then it just doesn't fly
Yep.
correct. When you get a fresh batch of paint, it's the best paint you'll ever shoot. But the problem is the fresh paint typically bounces the most because it hasn't had time to set.
Yep.
So it'll shoot money because it's mixed perfectly. It hasn't sat, so you don't get no dimples, no flat spots, and it's on a fucking laser beam. But it will typically bounce because it's more fresh. Now, if you get like fresh tournament grade paint, like level 5, level 6, even level 4 is like iffy. Level 5 and level 6 is typically fine. That's
Yeah.
why you go to tournaments, it's fine shooting level 5 and level 6 because it's fresh level 5 and 6. It's made for that event,
Yeah.
so you're okay shooting it. That's also another reason at Cup we were having no paint problems. But remember, we were testing and we were like barely tossing at the
Oh
wood.
yeah.
They were all breaking, but nobody broke paint except the fucking junk ass shocker at my game.
Yeah.
Um,
You're talking about before you go on the dimples. Who I don't want to say it was a manufacturer, but it was somebody. Don't say their name. Did
it's
someone? Is it HK that said they
Or, no,
intentionally
sorry,
dimple?
it was DLX actually, and I went to them and I was in dire need for a stainless steel shim kit. I
Yeah.
didn't bring mine, and I wanted my XL stainless steel shim. I'm a firm believer in the stainless steel shims, and I've
Yeah.
proved people several times they are significantly better in every way. But I needed a set in
Yeah.
Dallas when I played the NXL, and I'm like, fuck. So I said, man, I'm having problems with this paint. I'm shooting. I want my XL bore. I don't have my kit. Let me. We were a sponsor team through DLX, so we got to deal with them. So I was just gonna buy one there. I'm like, let me just go to the sponsor and grab an XL kit.
Yeah.
When we talked to them, I'm like, man, this paint's kind of all over the place, and he knew exactly what paint it was. He was like, you shooting HK, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, yeah, it's kind of dimpled. He's like, but that's not. He's like, everybody's paint's kind of off. I'm like, He's like, we've seen a lot of dimples in HK paint. He's like, but that doesn't make it fly um off. I'm like, dimples don't make it fly not straight. He's like, no. He's like the dimples in paint, unless it's severely messed up, like flat spots completely on one side of the ball. He's like, small dimples in the ball do absolutely nothing to change flight pattern. And I've
I'm
I
gonna.
just
This was my next
find
question. Do you believe him?
yes.
Okay.
Think about and he says, and this is how he told me. He's like, think about a golf ball.
Okay. Oh,
He
well,
said,
okay.
golf ball is completely dimpled. He says a wiffle ball is completely, changed
Yeah, but the golf ball is intentionally dimpled in certain spots. That paintball, you can't really. You can intentionally dimple it, but I don't think you could
it's
replicate it.
evenly
Is the
dimpled
paintball
throughout.
evenly dimpled?
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
never
How
paid attention.
a baseball?
Yeah, but it's even, and that's how you
It
get the
doesn't
spin
matter,
on the
but the
ball.
weight is still distributed differently on a perfectly circular base.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like the weight is different. It's not a perfectly symmetrical circle. The throw. And then same thing with the thing. When you hit a golf ball, if you can hit a golf ball straight, you can hit them straight.
I feel
They are dimpled
targeted
through
with
the
that.
whole thing, right? I mean, and they can fly directly beam
Yeah.
straight. And you could throw one directly straight. You
Yeah.
could shoot one out. We shot them out of cannons before.
Yeah.
A laser beam, right? That doesn't. They swear it doesn't affect it. I guess they've done studies that we haven't done.
Well, no,
That
I see it not affecting it. I just don't think you can replicate a paintball the same way you could replicate any of those. You know what I mean? Just because I feel like it's the shell would never be able to be that. I don't want to say precise because those things I'm sure are precise to a degree. I just don't think you could do that with a paintball. I'm thinking what he's saying is correct. If you could do that to a paintball, I just don't think you could actually do that to a paintball. If you get what I'm saying.
yeah.
I just think it'd be too hard because like once you put those paintballs in the bag, they've cured. They're still going to cure more sitting in there, and then like the weight shifting. So you think you had a dimple here, then all the paint settle out, and it pushes the dimple out. That's why I don't believe him. I'm not saying he's. I think his thought is 1,000% correct.
Yeah.
If you could make the dimples stay exact on a paintball shell, that's where I think he's not right
I think that they were talking about them getting bags of paint that were all dimpled up, and them getting fresh paint off the trailer, and then shooting them side by side,
and they were just the same.
Difference.
Okay, that's fine. I can handle that then.
Yeah.
Maybe we should. Maybe somebody needs to actually figure out a way to intentionally dimple the paintballs like a golf
ball. Get older paint. Typically, older paint's all dimpled up.
Yeah.
Then you can get fresh paint that's fresh off the shelf and shoot it. It's just hard to get fresh paint and dimpled paint on the same exact brand at the same time. That's some of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wait a year. You know what I mean? You literally have to grab a bag or a box, let it sit in a fucking air conditioned closet, and then go, I need that one right now, and then same day go, we should save well, I'm sure you got old paint there that's damn near a year old. We should grab one of those in a fresh bag one of these days and just shoot it and chrono it and see.
Well, I mean, that goes back. I was just talking to Ken from Titans. I was just talking to him the other day about properly shimming the barrels. I know we've talked this several times, but Shane is a firm non-believer into that, right?
Yeah.
He overbores everything. Well, Ken must have heard him, and I said, "You got an Excel kit, right?" He's like, "Yeah," and I said, "Yeah." I'll let him use my gun this weekend because his was being warranted. And I said, "Yeah, you can take my shit." I just gave him my whole setup. And I said, it has a shim in there. Once you get down there, whatever the paint is, it's not going to be what you're normally used to shooting. Shim the paint. You know how to shim, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, just shim it. It should be right on the money on the chrono. You should be fine. Like, as long as it's properly shimmed. I'm like, my gun's set up as low as it'll shoot, as soft as it'll shoot. But you have to have the paint matched to shoot 285. Like, if you don't have it matched and you're overboring, you're going to do about 270s.
Yeah.
And he's like, it matters that much? I'm like, oh, yeah, it makes a huge difference. And he's like, well, I heard that a lot of guys are overbore. And I'm like, some people do overbore. And I'm like, and Shane's one of them. I'm like, do not overbore. I'm like, bore to the correct size of the paint. I'm like, if you're shooting fragile paint and you overbore, you will break.
Yeah.
I'm like, now, same thing. If you underbore, you will break. If you properly bore, you will break less paint and shoot way more consistent over the chrono and way more accurate. And that's some of the reason that, and I don't know how they can even argue this. There's a difference if you shoot a standard freak barrel and you were to shoot a freak XL barrel. The more control of the paint is significantly better. That's like what's that douche that owns the other company? Parabolic, right?
Jeez, why'd you call it douche? He could be a nice guy.
No, he's not a nice guy. Dude, he's a bit of a douche.
That's said by Wes, not me. But go ahead,
Yeah,
continue.
he's a douche. They swear by his barrels because the front of his barrel has more control.
Yeah.
So it controls the ball throughout the flight pattern, like through the down the barrel, way more than a standard. Like I'm just guessing here, but let's say the back of the XL is like you shim it for 682, and the front of your barrel is like 697.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
His is probably something like 682 with like 692 in the front. So when it goes to the front of the barrel, you're still controlling the ball. It's not wobbling as much in the
Yeah.
barrel. Um,
Why do you think we
I
got
don't,
away from one piece barrels then? And now,
same.
granted, I don't think they were always like if it was
Well,
six
because
eight
you have
nine.
to own 56 one piece barrels. That's why
But would you have
we
to
went to
own?
ultralight because they were light and you can change the back size in the barrels.
Yeah.
Because Freak was the king. Like back in the day, there were no like Freak was if you didn't have a Freak, you were a peasant. Like everybody
Yeah.
had a Freak. Well, then ultralight started making different sizes. So then ultralights were amazing barrels, and guys wanted to switch back, so they just bought like 3 size backs and just kept the UL, which is great.
Yeah. Best
But
barrel around in my opinion.
yeah, but
I
the
will.
problem
I will
is
stick to it.
they are good barrels. I don't think they don't outperform a an XL Freak.
Maybe not now. Not now
Yeah, yeah,
because the
yeah.
whole control board
And
thing.
the
But I
problem
say
is that
in
the
general. Yeah.
aluminum wears out,
Yep.
like the backs wear out, and then they perform. Problem is, us as players would tend to get a little bit lazy, and they just oh, it's shooting, and just let it shoot. If
Yeah.
you want your gun to be like you're shooting people in the pack across like corner to corner, like your everything needs to be absolutely perfect. And some people just don't care to do that. I'm one of
Yeah.
them. I have to have my shit absolutely perfect. But the problem is when you wear out a UL back, you have to go buy a whole entire new back.
Yep.
You have to throw away your back. It's worthless at this point, and get a whole new that size back again. When the shim wears out, you just throw the shim away and buy another $10 shim and stick back inside of it. So
Yeah.
what's more cost effective, a $10 shim or a $50 back?
Oh yeah, for sure the shim. Now, granted, how do you think the stainless steel ones wear? Do they wear out? Do you think the same? Not the same rate.
No, they wear
Oh.
out way slower. I've personally never worn one out. I do see a scratch every now and then in mine, and I think it's because loading shit paint
And
was
sand gets in
dirty,
there. Yeah.
and that's just going to happen. But I also have seen the company BMC Fabrication.
They
He
measured them, right?
drills, yeah, he drills any barrel. But if you go on his Facebook, little shout out for him here. I don't even know the guy. He does really crazy work. He'll take barrels like a brand new ultralight and sticks it in his honer and spins it, and the barrel is like wobbly, like it's not true.
Yeah.
And then he'll like mic one side, and it's like the thickness of a barrel. It's like let's say I don't know, a tenth of an inch. On the other side, it's like 0.98 inches. It's a completely different. It's like Jesus Christ. They're so the making of it is so fucked up, and I feel like stainless steel is not. It's a lot. It's more trued.
Yeah, I would agree.
Aluminum is so soft you can like accidentally fuck it up and go, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, also like look at the force barrel that happened.
Yeah.
It's aluminum.
That's
like
a wild thing.
It bends, right? I mean, it happens. But I definitely think that going to a different back style, like a stainless steel or like the titanium, is definitely titanium's still king to me.
I would agree.
It's just way too expensive to make.
Yeah. I mean, I have the 2 titanium backs, die barrels, and it sucks because I love them. Like I said, I would shoot ultralights over probably by field 1 barrel, but I can't because it's an 8.8. I got 2 blank backs, and I'm like, an 8.8 10 years ago, in my opinion, you could use an 8.8 99% of the time.
Because the paint was sometimes 9, 9.0,
Yeah.
9.2, 9.1, you know?
Yeah.
Or and then it's 8.5, 8.7. So it was fine. Now the paint is coming in a lot at 7.9 and 7.7. We have seen 7.7 and 7.9 often.
Yep.
More times than not, I have shot a 7.9 and 8.2 than I have any other barrel back in my entire fucking kit.
Yeah. Yeah, the past 2 years.
Everything. Oh god, yeah. I think everything over an 8.4 in my back is like brand new. Except this weekend we shot an 8.9, and everybody's like, "Whoa!" Everybody shot big. I'm like, I have no clue why it's this big. This is weird.
Yeah.
Everybody shot an 8.9, but other than that, every single shim in my kit on both of our kits are like spotless and brand new over an 8.4 because they're not being used.
Yeah. I bought the extra field 1 backs, and I'm like, I've been using one of the smaller ones, and I'm like, I literally use, I
And I
forget
can't
what color,
remember.
the green one or whatever it is, and I'm like every fucking weekend 8-3, 8-2, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I
I
do overbore very slightly. Like if the paint's 7-9, I might run an 8-2. I do it just a little bit because, in my opinion, if I do
mhm,
get that weird large ball, I'm not gonna
yeah.
break it, and it's gonna affect my velocity very little at that point, and my accuracy very little. I don't get as precise as you do, but I don't overbore like Shane does.
Shane's like
So
9.2 or 9.1
yeah,
for everything,
yeah. I
or
think he runs
9.3.
that titanium back, so he's
Yep,
running an
GI back.
8.8 or a 9.1. I forget what it is, and I'm like,
It's
well,
a
I
it's a
mean,
9.1. I've heard him say it before, I believe. But I'm like, God damn, dude, he
yeah,
lives in that 9.1. I'm like, it is. It makes your gun louder because you're using
yeah.
more air. It's like
He
more
just wants to
energy.
shoot sparks on occasion. That's why
Yes.
he wants it. Which, I mean, can you blame him?
No, it's great, amazing
I
barrel.
mean,
I just wish they were. I think you can now buy those barrels. You can buy the TI
yeah,
backs. You can buy them in like different sizes. But
yeah.
boy, they're expensive. They're like
Yeah.
$100 a back. There's
I
no
got
fucking
one.
way.
Somebody owed me gas money one time, come back from a tournament, and maybe paint money.
Probably Ben or
I
something.
don't remember who. And they're like, I got this CF Boomy back. You can have, and like, it was a brand new back, like still like, and I was like, that'll work. So it was like for a case of paint he owed me, and gas was like maybe $60. And he was like, this. I turned around and sold that bitch for like 120. I was like, well, that worked out well, huh?
Yeah.
Give me the gear, guys. I'll sell all your shit if you owe me money.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um,
Oh, that's funny.
I think I can't remember if I touched on this a long time ago or not. Why do you think? What's your theory? Why do you think the paintballs have gotten progressively smaller throughout the years?
I think we have talked about this, but I
I'm pretty sure we have.
that's fine. We can talk about it again. I think it's to save money.
Yeah,
Like they can use less material,
100%.
and like maybe it's more accurate and more air efficient. It might be that also. I don't know, but I would imagine it probably is a little more accurate. But in general, it's just, I think to save money because you got to think, and you could make, you're using less material on the paintball, so that's less like shell, less fill, all those ingredients. You could really make your boxes smaller too. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So you're saving on your cardboard. You can make your plastic bag smaller. Like it's all of that literally, and you can fit more on a pallet. So then you can sell more on. I mean,
No,
I don't
that
know how the math
the
breaks
pallet
down.
sizes have changed, right? You know that.
So they
The
haven't or
pallet
have not.
sizes, yes, back in the day, pallets used to be 60 to 80 cases max.
Okay.
Now they go 75 to 140 is the pallet size. Now it's just talking to Pro Shot was making Bill buy them at like 120 or 130. I said, that's two skids, dude. He said, no, that's one skid. I said, no, 130, 140 skid pay, that's two skids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, trust me, it used to be 75 was max. So then when I talked to my rep at HK, I'm like, is 140 regular? And he's like, that's max. He's like,
Yeah.
we do 60 to 80 to 90. That's about average. Some guys get 100 to save on shipping. He's like, but we don't ever want to do more than that because that's why some of your paint comes in and crushed.
Yeah.
So it makes sense if, let's say, they are going with smaller boxes, they can put more paint on there and sell you a skid of paint. And instead of selling you a skid of 60, they're
Yeah.
selling you a skid of like 70. It's 10 more cases in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they can market that to the field owner as you're saving on your shipping and you're
Yeah.
getting more paint. So then it's like, and then to us it comes in and the bottom row of boxes are smashed.
Trash.
Which
Yep.
so now what are they going to do with that paint? Not our field, any field
Yeah,
in general.
our field doesn't have that problem.
Yeah.
I know we have had problems with like rain hitting and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
let's talk about that tournament, the CPSL, which I think we touched on a long time
Oh
ago.
yeah, that was
It showed up
October probably.
like smashing the fucking dirt outside. I'm like, yeah, that sucks for those guys. I'm like, no way they were shooting that the next day at the event. Guess what? All that paint was being distributed with smashed boxes and open cases. I'm like, what in the absolute fuck is
Yep.
going on? You are selling tournament paint without boxes and it has been smashed and crushed. I'm like, you got to be out of your goddamn mind.
And what paint was that?
That was level. That was.
It
I
was
think.
different.
I think it was. Yeah, it was like it was either a Smarts Parts paint
Yeah.
or it was GI 4-star. It
It
might
was
have
like
been.
a 4-star equivalent. Is what you know in general. Whether it was GI or HK, what it was
Yeah,
on that
I know
par.
Smarts Parts makes that paint called Smart Paint, and what that is it's a level 4 shell, the level 3 fill is what
Yeah.
it's supposed to be, which is it shoots great. We didn't have any issues out of it,
Yeah.
but they were giving us paint that was like smashed in cases and like ran over with a fucking dump truck. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
You can't have this painted at an event. You get your ass fucking reamed if this was
Oh
anywhere.
yeah. You
Like
talking about
this,
paint getting ran over? A year ago, I saw it on my face. So a year ago today, we played a practice at Bayside. So
we're
March
back over
15th.
that paint.
Yes, we're the dude. So like it was our last practice before COVID. We were getting ready for the tournament. So we made that great run through down the middle. We've told that story.
Ooh.
Fucking roasted him down. But we're gearing up and we're walking the field. And me and Payne, we were all. I think he must have rode with me because we were gearing up by my truck. And we come back and this dude is walking over with like 3 or 4 cases of paint in his hand. And we had each bought. I think we both bought two, so I think he was bringing over 4 more cases of paint, and he was like, sorry guys, I kind of ran your paint over." And we looked, and our boxes of paint were fucking smashed. He totally ran over Payne's, both of his, and like caught the corner of both of mine. And he was like, "So I bought you more paint." And we were like, "Oh, okay, thanks, man. Like no big deal." And we ended up opening our paint, and no balls were broken. And we told him, we are like, "Well, it's cool. Like our paint's not broken. We don't want to take. I mean, this dude's here to practice too. And he just bought 4 cases for us, probably 2 for himself. So he
Yeah.
spent $300 on paint. I mean, you know what I mean?" And we told him, and he was like, "Well," he goes, "I already bought it for you, so just shoot it." So the whole time I was like, giving paint to you, giving paint to Jamie. I'm like, I'm not gonna shoot 4 cases in a day. Like I'm gonna shoot 2, maybe more, just because I have it. Like
Now I can just go wild.
now I can just go wild. But yeah, that was a year ago. I was like, fuck, man, I can't believe
That's
it's been
funny.
that long.
Ran all your shit over. Fuck
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm glad he didn't hit gear. Like the paint can be replaced quickly. If it had been my gun, God,
Reflex.
that would have been. Oh, yeah, I'd rather run over the Lux, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, like, for real, because he run over one of my Flex, I'd be like, oh, the Lux costs more, but I can find a replacement Lux easy. It's kind of hard to find a replacement good looking Flex.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Oh, that's funny. Well, sir, did you have anything else?
I think that's it. I did have something, and I think it was about. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to we'll just talk about it on here. Our just so it'll be a surprise to them when they hear it. But
Okay.
what's your thoughts on the teams that are traveling now that are with us, right? The D6 lines, the Titan guys.
Yep.
What is and Ken asked me today, so I figured I'd bring it up on the podcast. Um, on traveling because they play 3-man and they typically combine and play a 5-man. You
Yep.
know, what's your thoughts on them continuing to play the SPL 3-man now that it's the same distance as the MVPS is? Because now they're all back in Florida, they're almost the exact same spot. Do you think? And they've already have IDs for the MVPS, obviously. And I'll give you my thoughts first.
Well, and they have IDs for the SPL too, so.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, so here's the thing. He said, "Well, we're 4th place in points. There are no series prizes in the SPL, so
Okay.
that's one thing, right? There are no series prizes for them for 3-man. But I said we're not going to be probably doing any SPLs really this season because they're all right next to the MVPS,
Yeah.
like in the same location. Now, if they were back in like Jacksonville, would consider it, or up in Perry again, would consider it, something like that. But since they're down there, I said I would. He said about combining teams, his teams, and I said, well, dude, I would personally, I would probably devote all your guys to just doing MVPS and either at the end of the year do a 5-man MVPS or do a 5-man CPSL. I'm like, you can play all season. Then if you wanted to try the X Ball deal out in the D5 area, you can go play CPSL and it's very cost effective and you don't have to buy IDs after you get a couple events. Because he mentioned about just combining and going and playing a 5-man and staying in 5-man.
So combining 2 of the 3-man lines to make a 5-man?
Yeah.
And
because they're doing it now. And I said, well, MVPS is a little bit tougher in 5-man. I said, but you'd have to be traveling to the SPLs, but you're not going to have, because they mentioned they took Chuck this weekend and Chuck played with them. And I believe that the Matthew guy, he went and played with them. Matthew Kelly, I think. He went and played with them.
Yeah.
I think who else played with them?
I'm looking at the roster here. You had Matthew, Ken, Chuck, Coven, Alexander, Michael, and Tucker.
Yeah. So they all played. And I was like, well, personally, if it was me, I I would rather go to where everybody is going. And if you have like four teams going to the MVPS, typically you would want to go where everybody's going to be there and hanging out. You know what I mean? It's to me, I've always had more fun at events when all like other teams that I know that are good friends are already there. Plus, you have like support and help, and you can all do other things together. But only considering now, if they were all closer, I'd say stay with the SPL. But now that they're the same distance, I typically would say stay in the three man because they would still want to play three man too. So stay on the three man and stuff in the MVPS, and then if you choose to do a five man at the end of the year, jump in the MVPS or go and taste some of the X Ball and D5 and just see what you think about that.
I think I would do it one of two ways. I would either do exactly what you said, where I'd go play the MVPSs because we're all going to be there, and obviously we'll be there to we can like most of us are there Saturdays and Sundays. So
Yes.
like we're playing Sundays, we're helping and watching on Saturdays for the most part. So they would have our help. I think that's the good way to do it. And then at the end of the year, if they wanted to see X Ball, definitely do a CPSL because the competition there will be a little less. It's still good competition.
Yeah.
Not saying that. I mean, those are great teams up there, but it'd be a little easier than the MVPS. Still a fucking grind, but do that or don't touch any like five man at all until next season. Keep
Yeah.
playing this year in the SPL three man. Maybe the MVPS. Do they do a three man thing or what do they do?
Yeah. They do the same thing.
Yeah,
They do
maybe
six three man.
maybe just stay with three man the rest of this year, and at the end of the year, if you wanted to try a X Ball five man, then do it. Or again, three man this year and wait till next year, then jump into five man. So, I mean, I don't think them staying in three man the rest of the year is a bad idea, but then I would try to do both if possible, if not the MVPS, just because we'll
Yeah.
also, granted, I think that's on Sundays, but we would still have some D5 guys around that could go help them while they aren't helping us.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it,
Yeah. I agree.
which I mean, we pretty much are saying the same thing ish.
Yeah.
I would give them a second, like, I would have continue just three man this year as my second option, but I would do the first one first
Yeah.
if that was me. As long as they all agree to it, make sure pretty much everyone's on board. Because some of them might only like the three man, and then they should stick that out for a year, and then
I mean I think that's probably the better thing is stick with the three man at the MVPS, and
yeah,
I say that stick with the D6 three man at the MVPS, right? Boom, 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 and then maybe the last two events
yeah,
go play D5 X Ball at CPSL
CPSL, yeah,
because you don't have to buy IDs and the paint is like $35 a case,
yeah,
so it is a lot more cost effective, and then you get a little bit more, you know.
yeah. And that would allow them not to. They're going to be all D5 this year, so the three man thing's going to run out very soon.
Yes.
So next year, regardless, they're going to have to play five man. So
Yep.
continuing to play three man this year might not be a bad idea, just so they can all get some more experience. Like
I
they've all
agree.
played tournaments now, like three or four apiece at minimum, I would say. So, but you can still learn lots in three man. Like you learn how to keep the pace up, so you're not late on the field and all that bullshit. And
Yep.
that's good stuff to learn that some players now don't even learn.
Yep.
Well, that's all
That's
I
what
had, sir. Oh, go
I
ahead.
just touch on that. I just want to get your see what you thought about it.
Yeah, no, I like that was good. I'm glad they're around. At some point, they can be like maybe like Savannah Project X or Titan X or
There you go. Tight necks.
Titan X.
That
That would
sounds
work for them. I mean,
sounds pretty good. Tight neck sounds pretty good.
you got to earn that Georgia Extreme badge.
Yep.
That's one. Me and you are more fond than me, you, and probably Can are the three that are would be stuck on it the most because it was different for us.
Yeah. I like some stripes like legit.
Yeah,
I
but
definitely shit when you guys are coming up.
oh
And
yeah. Hey, it took us a couple years, but now I wouldn't if I move somewhere else. Not I'm not going to. I'm not pulling a pain and ditching everybody.
yeah, fuck you, Pain.
If I did, I don't think I could play tournament somewhere else because I'd be like, I kind of want to just be called Georgia Extreme, and we're in Alaska, so it really wouldn't make much sense.
Yeah.
But all right. Thanks for listening, watching. I didn't check the merch this week, so I have no idea if anybody bought anything. But listening, watching, we had great views last week. we grow little at a time, but it's awesome. So peace out. We'll see you on the next one.
Later, boys.